What's up, dispatchers? Continuing with our fire kit mentality series, today is all about the I, the intermediate kit. Now this can be a backpack, a haversack, a sling bag, or even a fanny pack, a purse, it doesn't matter. What we're actually doing is creating a force multiplier with our foundation or our everyday carry. Now, if you haven't seen the EDC video, then you should probably go back and watch that. You're probably going to see some things that are missing out of this kit. The idea here is that with every single thing that we add to our foundation, we actually become more and more effective. Before we dive into this kit, I want to ask you a question. If you got injured, could another man, woman, or child carry your pack? From all my experience in rescue, one thing I know for sure is that people either carry too much or they carry too little. Obviously, when we went to go rescue somebody, we had to think about how we were going to haul their gear out as well. So this definitely needs to be something that you would consider when you're planning out your intermediate kit, because it's something that people just don't typically think about. So now we need to talk about what inspired this kit. When I was in the field as a SAR-1, my pack was around 72 pounds. And a lot of people may think, well, that's crazy. Well, as a SAR-1, I had to carry all of my technical rope gear, and anybody who's carried a rope bag with hardware and software knows what I'm talking about. Secondly, I also had to have all of my EMT gear. I was also responsible not only for the patient or for the victim, but I was also responsible for the people that were on my strike team. As a squad leader, you are responsible for the people that are on your team. And the way that that translates to you is you probably have to take care of your family or possibly your friends. So that's something else that you should be considering when you plan out your pack. Now, after 14 years of abusing my body with a pack that heavy, you can imagine what toll it took on me. And eventually there was the straw that broke the camel's back. I ended up in the bed for 4 months, and then I had an entire year of rehab just so that I could get back up and start walking again. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that took a serious toll on my ego. I was so used to helping everybody out, but then it came a point where I actually needed some help. Now, I knew the days of carrying a super heavy pack were over, so I actually took the existing kit that I had and I got it all the way down to 24 pounds. But the problem was, even with it being that light, I was still getting injured. And that's when I called my good friend, Jason Salyer. Now, for a lot of people, this is really hard to do, to lower your pride and go and ask for help. If you've got people in your life that you trust and that understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish, then they're definitely gonna help you. And that's exactly what Jason did. He reminded me that, hey, it took you a long time to get this injury. It's going to take a long time for you to get back and repair yourself. So what he did was he challenged me, okay, get that weight down from 24 pounds and let's see it go to like 10 or 12 pounds. And so that's exactly what I've done with this pack. Something that Jason and I really agree on is our kit mentality, doing more with less. We're not about putting a bunch of stuff into our kit just to have it, like an insurance policy. We carry stuff that is high quality that actually works when we need it to. We also recognize that we have to rely on our skill sets a lot. But for one of us, we would consider this to be a bougie kit. And speaking of bougie, that actually gives me an idea. He's probably gonna kill me when I say this. Something that would actually be really hard for us to do. I mean, it would take a lot of planning. We would have to talk to people. We would have to borrow stuff. We'd have to go buy stuff. As if we had to actually go do like a bougie glamping, overlanding, MTV crib style weekend adventure. Y'all are always watching us go out there with minimalist kits and stuff and making it happen. But I think the audience would like to see us actually struggle once. Tell you what, if I can get 50 votes, that's 50 votes in the comment section. Sorry, Jason, I cut down the cherry tree. But hey, if y'all want to see me and Jason together in a video doing something like that, then let us know in the comment section and we'll make it happen. Before my ADD gets the best of me, we're going to get back to the mission at hand. Let's talk about the actual pack. Now let's talk a little bit about choosing your pack. There's this thing that I call the Goldfish Principle. If you take a goldfish and you put it in a bowl and you keep it in that bowl, the goldfish will stay the same size. But if you take that same goldfish and you put it in a larger aquarium, guess what? The goldfish grows. And we tend to do that with our packs. We tend to get a large pack and we just don't have the discipline to keep it small. There's the temptation to just keep adding stuff to it, and eventually the pack just becomes so heavy, or at least heavier than we want it to be. Remember MacGyver? He used to take a backpack that had nothing in it whatsoever, and that was just to pick up stuff along the way. If you choose a small backpack from the get-go, you will resist the temptation to keep adding a bunch of stuff, and you'll also do a lot better job of picking out what actually goes in the kit. So the pack that I chose for this kit is the Terra by Hill People Gear. I absolutely love Hill People Gear, and they're not paying me to tell you that. This is a 16-liter pack made of 500D, and it's also capable of carrying 50 pounds. You can actually fit way more in one of these than you think you can. This is an awesome pack to carry. Besides being really comfortable, it also gives me the ability to carry things on the outside of the pack, like extra layers of clothes, for example. And I can easily attach things to the bottom of the pack, like this jungle bag by Snugpack. Now, one of the things that's awesome about the Snugpack is that it has a survival rating of down to 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Now understand, that's a survival rating. That's not a comfort rating. I would still have to take steps to ensure that I was somewhat comfortable using this pack. But I definitely consider this a 3-season pack. The outside of it is also supposed to be waterproof, but I would call it water repellent. It also has a net that's attached to it that helps with insects, and the material is antimicrobial, so it helps with the stink. Now, diving into the kit a little bit further, you'll notice the 2 pouches on the side, which were actually designed to carry 2 USGI standard canteens. And that's a great idea, but I just don't carry the water on the outside of my pack. What I do carry on the outside of the pack is actually a multi-use item, a Chamog, which everybody knows has so many uses. This is a 47 by 47, just in case people want to know. And on the other side, this is actually the pack cover for when it rains. Now, one thing that's really cool about having a pack cover like this is not only can you cover your pack, but there's actually enough room to, if you wanted to, you could dig a pit in the ground and you could actually store water in this, because what keeps water out will also keep water in. Additionally, I can use it for carrying things like, say, tinder bundles to keep them dry from the elements. It's really good to make sure that the items that are in your kit have multi-uses, and we're going to get into that just a little bit further here in a minute. But for now, let's get in the kit. And just like last time, I laid everything out for you so that you can take a look at every individual piece of kit. Now, first things first, I want you to notice that everything is laid out on this P&W Bushcraft ground cloth. Now, I hit on having multifunctional, multi-purpose items in your kit. I gotta say, that one particular piece of kit is really growing on me. I absolutely love it. I cannot say enough about it. In the next video, I'm gonna show you how multi-purpose and multifunctional it actually is. Besides making a great ground cloth, it actually can make bushcraft chairs, you can make bushcraft tables out of it, you can cover up your fire supplies, you can actually button it together and actually put a strap on it so you can carry supplies. You can fold it up and put it down on something wet so you have a nice dry seat. Also, when it's folded up, you can use it to fan the fire when you need more oxygen. And of course, it helps separate you from the ground, which is invaluable for a number of reasons. Overall, this is a very high quality piece of kit and I would recommend it to anyone. Another multifunctional piece of kit is my Arcteryx rain poncho. This is an oversized USGI style poncho, and I actually like it because I'm a bigger guy and I need something that will actually cover me when I'm trying to avoid the elements. And inside of it, I also keep some stakes, and I also carry some pre-rigged cordage so I can set up a shelter fast. And then I tie it all together with a Ranger band. This is a great multifunctional piece of kit. Now, when it comes to water, I absolutely love the Grail. You'll notice that it has a pre-filter, and I also have a stainless steel canteen cup, which helps if I have to boil the water. Redundancy is really important. Now, when it comes to fire, I've got another Bic, and it has duct tape and a Ranger band around it. And I also have an Exotac ferro rod that has some shot cordage, which I could use to burn, and a carabiner to keep it attached to my body. Moving on down, I have another Streamlight flashlight. I also have a multi-tool with another Ranger band. Always a good idea to have cordage in your pack. And I really prefer to have a high quality compass with me. Now, in this Tough Possum pouch, I keep things like acetaminophen, coffee, tea, more electrolytes. And I can tell you from my experience in rescue, being able to hand somebody at a disaster scene some tea or some coffee, it's like a game changer. It's like a little taste of home, and it really helps them to get through whatever it is that they're going through. Highly suggest having something like that in your kit. Not to mention the boost that you get from the caffeine. Speaking of a boost, it's always good to have foods that you don't have to prepare with you in your kit. I prefer cashews because not only are they good for you in this situation with all the fats and the oils, etc., but they also help with keeping your teeth clean. Cliff Bars are really easy to eat on the run, and it's easy to just go ahead and stuff the package back into your kit as well so you don't leave a footprint. And I'm going to be honest, I just love gummy bears. Now, the one item that's going to trip everybody out is the solo stove. And so the question remains, well, why would you have a solo stove in your kit? Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you did a bug out exercise where you had to dig, like, let's say 10 to 20 actual Dakota fire pits? Think about it. First of all, you have to find good soil. Next, you've actually got to have either a shovel or you've got to make a digging stick. If it's loamy or sandy or there's rocks or roots, you're in trouble. Another consideration is the moisture in the ground. It's obviously going to smoke at first. Once you get all the moisture driven out of the wood or even out of the hole, that's when it becomes efficient. You also have to gather and process out material. You've got to build a fire lay. Now that you have your fire going, you also have to think about how you're going to support either the water boil or cooking the food. So maybe some kind of crane or tripod or a grill over the ground. And then after you've done all of that, then you also have to think about, okay, now I've got to cover the thing up, making sure that the ground looks like nobody's been there. Now think about how easy it would be to have a contained fire in one of these. Now, if you're smarter than the tool, you can actually use it to help heat your shelter. Have you ever been out there, like say skinning a deer in the middle of winter and your hands felt like they were going to fall off? Having one of these would certainly help with that. One thing I love about it is the efficient design, and one thing that's really cool is after you empty the contents, it cools down really fast. Now, in terms of bugging out, I can tell you this is a game changer for sure. Not to mention the fact that you can boil water and have tea or coffee in like minutes. Now, seeing the gear is cool and all, but I'm the kind of guy, I actually want to see this stuff in use. Our last video, it was an adventure film, and I'd like to do that again. So get in the comments section and let me know if you want to see another one. I also want to hear your thoughts on the kit. Like, what would you add? What would you take away? What would you supplement with, etc.? My rule of thumb is as long as I can meet my priorities of survival, that's what I'm looking for. I also understand this kit is inversely proportionate to my skill set. Now, a lot of people say the less you know, the more you have to carry, and the more you know, the less you have to carry. I want to address that. I don't think that that's necessarily true, because there's a lot to be said about convenience and saving energy. For example, having a rain poncho. It takes minutes to set up this shelter. But when was the last time you went out and actually made a natural primitive shelter? Sure, you could make one, but it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, and you've got to have the resources available to make it happen. And all I'm trying to say is there's pros and cons to every way you do this. And so I want to know your thoughts in the comments section. How would you plan out your intermediate kit if you had an injury? And as always, get in the comments section, leave me a snide remark, and fuel the fires.